Hello everyone, welcome to the Cinema Analysis channel. I am Juzo. This channel will explore the hidden truth of films that are not usually revealed. Today I'd like to talk about the song Let It Go and the film Frozen. I'd like to talk about the role of the song in the film. If you haven't seen the film, I suggest you watch it first. So let's get started. It is indisputable that the song was a massive global hit. It was loved by many people around the world. However, the critics' evaluations are divided. Mark Snedeker of Entertainment Weekly called the song an unbelievable anthem of liberation. Joe Jemianovich of the New York Daily News described it as a stirring tribute to girl power and the need to let go of fear and shame. Some critics, however, considered the song cliché. There are also concerns that the song may have negative effects. Yvonne Abraham, a columnist for the Boston Globe, described it as musical crack that sends kids into altered states. Such a strong expression would be used if children merely liked the song and enjoyed singing it. Many people regard the song's popularity as problematic because they believe its message is flawed. Interestingly, both supporters and critics seem to agree that the song promotes the idea that individuals are fine just the way they are. This is a powerful message, and the song strongly asserts that one should embrace their true self. However, some argue that this message is unrealistic. They claim that people need to mature and adapt to society. There is a clear divide in opinion. The lyrics of the song certainly emphasize the idea of being true to oneself. But what's significant is that the film itself does not fully endorse this idea. It's important to recognize this when analyzing the song. Let's go back to the beginning of the film. There is a scene where Anna and Elsa play in the snow inside their house. The snow is created by Elsa's magical power. In this scene, Elsa accidentally hits Anna with a burst of her magic, knocking her unconscious. This incident becomes a traumatic experience for Elsa. As a result, Elsa distances herself from everyone. Since Anna's memory of the event was erased by magic, she cannot understand why Elsa keeps her distance. Elsa begins to wear gloves to suppress her powers. This also serves as a metaphor for her emotional isolation and fear of connecting with others. Their parents, the king and queen, die in a maritime accident. Elsa is then expected to ascend the throne. At her coronation, Elsa and Anna have a confrontation. During the argument, Anna impulsively grabs Elsa's hand, removing her glove. In this moment, when Elsa expresses her feelings, a magical frozen wave bursts from her bare left hand, revealing her power to the public. The depiction of this scene is particularly well crafted. This incident marks the story's turning point and transitions the narrative from Act 1 to Act 2. Most films follow a three-act structure. In Act 1, the setting and the characters' backgrounds are introduced. At the end of this act, a major incident occurs, which introduces the central conflict, the first turning point. Then the story moves into Act 2, where the protagonist works to resolve the problem. What's especially important is that the song Let It Go appears for the first time exactly at the moment the story shifts into Act 2. The lyrics of the song declare Elsa's decision to release her suppressed individuality. It beautifully expresses how she frees herself. Let's focus not only on the meaning of the lyrics, but also on their rhyme and sound. The sounds used in the lyrics differ noticeably between the earlier and the later part of the song. The first rhyme presented is King and Queen, both using the long E sound. Later, a more complex rhyme spanning multiple words appears. Storm inside and knows I tried. Again, the E sound is heard. Don't let them in, don't let them see. Be the good girl you always have to be. Concealed, don't fear. Please pay attention to this sequence of 6 E sounds. It clearly reflects the songwriter's intention. When pronouncing the E sound, your mouth stretches horizontally, similar to when you grit your teeth. This mouth shape mirrors a physical expression of emotional suppression, wanting to say something but holding it in. Thus, the repeated E sound symbolizes Elsa's repressed emotions. The lyrics and their sound patterns convey how much she has suppressed herself until now. Don't let them know. Well, now they know. Here, the O sound begins to dominate. When pronouncing the O sound, your mouth opens vertically, symbolizing release. There is a clear shift from the E sound of suppression to the O sound of liberation. Then the song enters the chorus. Let it go anymore, slam the door, rage on, small, at all. The O sound appears repeatedly. Later, the A sound, which opens the mouth even more, also begins to appear. Sky, cry, ground, around, blast, past. This vocal transition from E, suppression, to O and A, release, powerfully portrays Elsa's transformation. She chooses a life of freedom. Let's also look at the visual expression in the scene. At the beginning of the song, Elsa walks through the snowy mountains. Her footsteps are quickly erased by falling snow, suggesting that the path she has walked is being wiped away. This serves as a metaphor for her former life, as the daughter of a king, concealing her cursed power, which she is now abandoning. It's also significant that her mantle appears heavy and burdensome. Right after the E sound sequence ends and the O sound begins. Don't let them know. Well, now they know. Elsa removes a glove from her right hand with her bare left hand and throws it away. The left glove had already been taken by Anna, revealing her secret, so she no longer needs to hide it. Then the key phrase, "Let it go," the song's title, appears. What does it refer to? There are many interpretations: fear, shame, control, expectation, trauma, suppression, and so on. Judging from the scene alone, it appears to refer to Elsa's uncontrollable magical powers. The scene shows that Elsa bursts a frozen wave from her hands, singing "Let it go." She has long concealed her ability to freeze her surroundings, but it's now impossible to hide it any longer. That's why she finally lets it go. She then throws off her royal mantle, saying, "The cold never bothered me anyway." The mantle symbolizes her royal status and the weight of her responsibilities. By discarding it, she abandons her former role. Next, a chasm appears in front of her, symbolizing a boundary she should not cross. Yet Elsa builds a bridge of ice and crosses it, choosing to move forward. She then constructs an ice castle. Inside the castle, Elsa removes her crown and throws it away, another symbol of her rejection of her royal identity. She also lets her hair down. In visual storytelling, especially in film, a woman letting her hair down often symbolizes emotional release or transformation. It's commonly used in scenes where a character embraces freedom, intimacy, or change. repeating the line, "The cold never bothered me anyway." Elsa shut the castle door behind her. This signifies her choice to live a life of isolation, away from society. It is an impressive visual and musical expression of a woman declaring her independence, a woman choosing to live life on her own terms. However, the film does not necessarily endorse complete self-isolation or total self-expression without consequences. The timing of the song within the story illustrates this nuance. Let It Go appears about 13 minutes into the film. It is placed right after the end of Act 1 and the beginning of Act 2, in a traditional three-act structure. In the structure of films, typically an inciting incident occurs at the end of Act 1, which introduces the main problem the protagonist must solve. In Act 2, the protagonist struggles with this problem. Then in Act 3, there is a final showdown. If the protagonist wins, the film ends happily. If they lose, it becomes a tragedy. The more difficult the challenge in Act 2, the more compelling the film becomes. In Frozen, Elsa runs into the mountains and sings "Let It Go." This signals that the situation is about to worsen. Indeed, because Elsa's hidden powers were revealed, the entire kingdom became frozen. The central conflict of the story is how this problem can be solved. This is what the film portrays. The song "Let It Go" illustrates how the situation deteriorates. It does not depict an ideal human state, but rather the moment when a problem emerges and intensifies. Elsa throws away her crown and shuts the door to her ice palace. Her expression in those moments is striking, almost sinister. It reflects a person turning to the dark side. In Star Wars, a saga of 9 films, Episode 3 shows Anakin Skywalker turning into Darth Vader. Elsa's creation of the Ice Palace parallels Anakin's transformation into Vader. This song expresses the rise of a dangerous situation in a beautiful and poetic way. That was its purpose. Therefore, it is misguided to interpret the song as purely portraying a wonderful, unconditional ideal. But does that mean people who deviate from society norms should not exist? Of course not. Not two people are exactly the same. Each of us is unique. Should we suppress our individuality to conform to certain rules? If social norms must be followed, what should those who fall outside of them do? How should society treat people who do not conform? And in the first place, what should social norms be? Perhaps this film's central theme is to make us think about these questions. Some interpret Frozen as a metaphor for homosexuality. Elsa's uniqueness is seen by some as symbolic of being gay, and this has sparked both praise and criticism. Jennifer Lee, the film's screenwriter and co-director, remarks that interpretations are up to the audience. Like many creators, she likely prefers not to explain her work directly, allowing it to speak for itself. I imagine Jennifer Lee smiling wryly. Every person has aspects of themselves that set them apart from society. That's why some viewers see this story as one about LGBTQ identity, while others see it as a metaphor for the autism spectrum. To each viewer, Elsa's uniqueness reflects their own sense of individuality or inner struggle. Stories are crafted with this kind of resonance in mind. It is said that the LGBTQ community has had a mixed response to these claims. They have undoubtedly spent their lives trying to reconcile their eccentricity with the social order. They wouldn't simply claim that society should accept their eccentricities. At the end of the story, Elsa learns how to control her magic. Through empathy, consideration for others, and love, she saves the kingdom. By expressing her individuality in a positive way, she brings peace. Letting Go appears twice in the film. Once during the story, sung by Idina Menzel, and again at the end, sung by Demi Lovato. The lyrics differ slightly between the two versions. The antisocial undertones present in Menzel's version are not found in Lovato's. Although it's the same song, the latter version feels like a step toward a hopeful new beginning. It may symbolize Elsa's growth. There was surely intention behind creating two versions of the song. Menzel's version marks the escalation of conflict, while Roberto's follows the story's resolution and happy ending. This film does not unconditionally celebrate the expression of individuality. Let's reflect on what has happened since the film's release in 2013. In the years that followed, the call to embrace diversity became mainstream. At the same time, more people began acting as they pleased, without regard for how it affected others. As a result, the global discourse is shifting again, with some arguing that diversity should not always be accepted. Everyone has something that is not easily changeable. Realizing this, how should individuals and society respond? Have we truly reflected on the questions posed by this film? Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up.